Chapter 392. Suya Yen, who had been dizzy with anger, calmed down a little after hearing Hua Qinhuan's words. But why would they do that? You haven't shown your face before. Maybe they're curious, or maybe they want to know your identity so they can deal with you better. No matter what, don't go there. Leave it to Yenbai. He knows what to do. Although Suya Yen wasn't worried about the situation in the store, she understood that Hua Qinhuan wouldn't hurt her. She responded in a low voice, "By the way, I'm worried that there's something wrong with the people doing the testing, so I asked Professor Yi to invite the relevant personnel to help. Remember to tell Yenbai so that there won't be any mistakes." Okay. In addition to this, those internet celebrities who are spreading rumors online have probably been bribed as well. I want you to help me find out who's behind this. Suya Yen didn't forget the great achievement of her Mr. Room manager, who had blocked tens of thousands of internet trolls overnight. I'm already investigating. Hua Qinhuan thought of the comments attacking Suya Yen on the internet, and her face suddenly became gloomy. I'll tell you when the results are out. After chatting with Hua Qinhuan for a while, Suya Yen completely calmed down. She called Li Jingwen again and told him that Zui Yenbai was going there. She also sent him a photo of Zui Yenbai that she got from Hua Qinhuan, so that he wouldn't be unable to recognize him when he saw him later. In addition, she also asked Li Jingwen to broadcast the situation live to her. If something really happened, she would be able to keep some material. Zui Yenbai's location was very close to the restaurant. About 10 minutes later, he appeared in the store. Li Jingwen and the others had seen his photo in advance. When they saw him enter, they immediately went forward and greeted him as their boss. Zui Yenbai nodded calmly and followed Li Jingwen's guidance to meet the testing personnel. "Hello, I'm the owner of the shop. Is there a problem with our shop?" The inspectors looked at each other and said in a business-like manner, "Here's the thing. We received a complaint letter about your store. The letter mentioned that you secretly added illegal drugs that are harmful to human health in your food. We're here to test it. If there's nothing wrong with it, we'll help you clarify it." There was nothing wrong with his explanation. Zui Yenbai nodded cooperatively, but out of caution, he reminded them, "Our restaurant is a medicated cuisine restaurant. The medicated cuisine here is a personal menu that is tailored to the individual's physique. I hope you can take this into consideration when you test it." The few of them were stunned. They hadn't thought of this. "Okay, we'll report this to our superiors. Can we take a sample now?" "Sure, but there are many types of medicinal cuisine in our restaurant. Do you want to sample every dish?" "It's best to take a sample and test it." Zui Yenbai saw that they had all kinds of equipment and certificates, so he had no objections. He said to Li Jingwen, "Take these gentlemen with you and pick a few trustworthy ones to follow them." This was to prevent anyone from tampering with the samples. Li Jingwen obviously understood this point. He picked a few people to follow them to the small kitchen. Because the incident had happened so suddenly, there was still a lot of soup and porridge in the kitchen. As soon as they entered, they smelled a rather obvious aroma of food. They hadn't had time to eat yet, so their stomachs grumbled uncontrollably. Grumble, everyone. Chapter 393. Ahem. The head inspector, who was also the one whose stomach was growling, cleared his throat and tried to save his dignity. "Are these the medicinal cuisines in your shop?" "Yes." Li Jingwen immediately stepped forward and introduced the dishes to them. "This is the yam-cooked black chicken soup to prevent hair loss. This is the sesame kelp cake to treat white hair. This is the motherwort egg soup to treat menstrual cramps. This is the seahorse bone soup to treat premature ejaculation. This is the abalone ginseng soup to improve fertility." As they listened to Li Jingwen's introduction one after another, they almost thought that they had accidentally stumbled into a marketing organization. Treating hair loss, menstrual cramps, treating premature ejaculation, and improving fertility. No wonder someone reported them. If they were in Li Jingwen's shoes, their first reaction would be to think that these people were scammers. After talking for a long time, Li Jingwen subconsciously looked back at them and asked in confusion, "Aren't you going to record it down?" Yes. Record it all down. He wanted to see if these things really had such an effect. Therefore, they were divided into two groups. One group was responsible for taking samples, and the other group was responsible for recording Li Jingwen's introduction. By the time they finished taking samples, the person Yi Qiliang found finally arrived. Director? The people in charge of taking samples were shocked when they saw the person. When he spoke, Li Jingwen and the others couldn't help but be startled. They looked at the person in surprise. It was a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. He had a square face and looked a little fierce at first glance. However, after getting used to it, one would feel that he was majestic and righteous. Suya Yan, who was watching everything through the hidden camera in Li Jingwen's pocket, was also shocked. She never expected that the so-called student friend Yi Qiliang mentioned was actually the director of this inspection department. With such a person around, these people had to be cautious and conscientious. Who would dare to mess around? You guys. Qin Yang looked at them inquisitively. Why are you here? Zui Yanbai's eyes flashed. She immediately understood that these people were indeed members of the relevant department. They looked at each other. We received a report and are here to check the hygiene and safety of the shop. Qin Yang frowned and didn't say anything, but Zui Yanbai said at the right time, we do add some Chinese herbs to the medicinal cuisine in our restaurant, but these herbs are not only harmless to the human body, but also can help the customers recuperate. I hope that everyone will be able to tell the truth after the test and prove our innocence. Zui Yanbai's words had already expressed the attitude of their restaurant. They didn't ask for favoritism, but sought truth from facts. They were innocent and had never done anything to harm their customers for the sake of profit. The serious expression on Qin Yang's face eased a little. He nodded and promised, of course. If the test results show that there is no problem, we will definitely help you clarify. Then I'll have to trouble you all. Qin Yang came in a hurry and left in a hurry. He left with the few inspectors. The people in the shop watched them leave. They were relieved but also a little disappointed. Their restaurant had been made a scapegoat for no reason. Not only were they forced to close down, but their lunch was also almost done. Now it was all wasted. Zui Yanbai obviously thought of this as well. Her eyes lit up as she stared at the row of tonics that were said to prevent hair loss and hair growth. Chapter 394. Well, Zui Yanbai was a business elite who wore a suit and leather shoes all year round, so it was a little difficult for him to speak. What are you going to do with these things? What else can we do? Drink it yourself or take it home for your family to drink, Cheng Yuqing said with a bitter expression. Recently, a lot of people have come to our store for this kind of medicinal cuisine to treat hair loss. Just this afternoon alone, there are enough portions for 30 to 40 people. Now that they've run away, not only will we lose money, but we'll also waste some of it. Which immoral bastard reported us? What a rotten heart. When Zui Yanbai heard her say this, he couldn't help but look happy. Since it's a waste to keep it, please calculate the price of these soups. I want to take them all back. All of them. As soon as Zui Yanbai's words came out, everyone in the room focused their attention on him. Even Suya Yan, who was behind the camera, was shocked. She thought that he had received instructions from Hu Chenhuan and was worried about the loss of the store, so he wanted to help make up for it. She hurriedly called Li Jingwen and asked him to pass the phone to Zui Yanbai. Yanbai, thank you for coming over to help today. You don't have to worry about the mess in the store. They'll take care of it. When Zui Yanbai heard Suya Yan's words, he immediately became anxious. No. Since I'm here, I won't do anything about it. But that's too much trouble for you. Besides, you can't eat so much by yourself. Giving it to relatives or friends may not be the right thing to do. In the end, it'll still be a waste. It won't be a waste. Zui Yanbai's voice suddenly rose. All the employees in our company knew that Young Madam Shop has medicinal cuisine that can promote hair growth, and they all wanted to reserve it. Unfortunately, Young Madam Shop is so popular that the reservation slots have been booked for months. Huh? Suya Yan's persuasion came to an abrupt end. She was stunned. Really? Why didn't you mention it to me before? I was too embarrassed to mention it before. I was also worried that it would burden you. Zui Yanbai didn't mention that he had asked Hu Chenhuan to help persuade her when he sent the robot last time. but today is an exception. It's a waste for you to keep it. Why don't you let me buy it and bring it back to them? Believe me, they're definitely willing to help young madam solve these things. Su Yan was speechless. Don't think that I can't hear the excitement hidden under your righteousness. Although I know that you like the medicinal cuisine in my shop, and I believe that these things are safe and useful, I still don't know what to say. But my shop has just been investigated, and you're so happy that I can't help but suspect that you're gloating. Zui Yanbai was indeed taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. In his opinion, his company definitely had the ability to take care of all the medicinal cuisine in this room. Even if some people might not have the right symptoms, there were still Gu Xiaoyang and Yu Zian's employees. He believed that these people were just like the people in his company. They were very happy to help their young madam solve her problems. Although the relevant departments had closed down their shop and chased away the customers, they had collectively picked up a loophole. How could he not be happy? The corners of Su Yan's mouth twitched slightly. She said helplessly, "All right. In that case, call them and confirm it with them first. The medicinal cuisine in my shop must be suitable for the symptoms. You can't mess around. If it's not enough, I'll ask Yishuan and the others to prepare some for you. There's no need for money. Just treat it as a reward for the company's employees. Also, thank them for helping me and Xinhuan." Chapter 395. Since Su Yan had said so, Zui Yanbai had no reason to refuse. He immediately sent a message to his company's group chat. "Minister, Madam is rewarding all the employees by giving us benefits. 10 minutes from now, all of you will report the conditions you need to recuperate. I will pack them up and bring them back. First come, first served. No waiting for you." As soon as this notice was sent out, it immediately caused a commotion in the group chat. Bitterly working dog number 1. "Are you serious?" "Minister, of course. I'm in Madam's shop right now. 30 seconds have passed. Time is limited. Seize the opportunity." When everyone received an affirmative answer, they didn't care that it was still working hours. They all cheered. What? Madam's shop had just been closed down, and there might be problems with the things she sold? Their company's benefits were the best they had ever seen in their lives. Their boss had no reason to cheat his own employees. Moreover, as long as the food could make them grow hair, they would eat it even if it was poison. Bitterly working dog number 1. Greasy Baldy reporting. Bitterly working dog number 2. Greasy Baldy +1. Bitterly working dog number 3. Greasy Baldy +2. Bitterly working dog number 20. Greasy Baldy +19. Bitterly working dog number 21. Dry Baldy is here. Bitterly working dog number 22. Dry Baldy +1. Zui Yanbai. Looking at the orderly summary of their numbers, it was obvious that they were die-hard viewers who had watched Madam's live broadcast. It was a rare opportunity, and no one wanted to miss it. After the Baldy at the front reported their numbers, employees with related needs such as little white hair and dysmenorrhea joined in one after another. Occasionally, there were 1 or 2 employees with conditions that were difficult to talk about. Although they didn't report their numbers in the group chat, they still sent him a private message through a small window. 10 minutes later, Zui Yanbai reported the numbers. Not only did they sell out the almost ready stock in the shop, but they also had to add a few more orders. It was obvious that the employees were hungry. The employees in the shop. Su Yan. Fine. After solving the mess in the store, Su Yan asked Li Jingwen and the others to go back and wait for news. It just so happened that the shop was always full during this period of time. They had worked hard, so they could take advantage of this opportunity to rest for 2 more days. They were resting, but the other group of people had to work overtime to investigate the mastermind behind all this. The people in Zui Yanbai were fine. They brought back the medicinal cuisine that was hard to buy even with 1,000 taels of gold and sent their condolences. Everyone seemed to have been injected with chicken blood and were full of energy. Compared to him, Gu Xiaoyang and Yu Zian were in a miserable state. They had been busy for a long time and had lost countless brain cells, but they didn't even have a hot meal. Although the 3 of them belonged to 3 different companies, because of their good relationship, their social circles were almost the same. Friends were like that, and so were employees. As a result, The employees of the two companies who were also working overtime watched their colleagues from Zuyenbai company happily post a bunch of medicinal cuisine pictures and add captions. After a busy day, all my tiredness turned into satisfaction, and joy the moment I drank the medicinal cuisine condolence soup sent by the boss's wife. I love the company, I love the boss, I love the boss's wife. Mwah! The employees of the two companies who were tragically left alone felt like their little hearts had been poked into hedgehogs, and they were bleeding profusely. Mwah. Mwah my ass. It was bad enough that they secretly ate the good stuff, but they even posted it and showed it off. They were simply too much. Chapter 396. Feeling that they had been treated unfairly, the majority of employees decisively brought this matter to the person in charge of their company. Why do they get to work overtime, but we don't? Why do they get to eat boss's wife's medicinal cuisine, but we don't? Why do they get to show off to their friends, but we don't? Why, Gu Xiaoyang and Yu Zian also wanted to ask why. They were the same employees, and their efforts were no less than those of Zuyenbai. Why didn't they get any benefits? Why didn't they get to eat? Filled with anger, the two of them decisively targeted Zuyenbai and started a small group of 3 to denounce him. Zuyenbai, you scumbag, you're eating alone behind our backs again. Yu Zian's roar was deafening, and Zuyenbai, who was still immersed in the joy of picking up the leftovers, was directly shocked into the group. What do you mean by eating alone? This is young madam's reward for my conscientious and hard work. Nonsense. Are we conscientious and hard work too? Don't find excuses for eating alone. You're a villain. Yes, don't find excuses. Don't think that I don't know that you also brought food back for your employees. After being brothers for so many years, I only found out today that we can't even compare to your employees.
I was wrong about you.
Zuyenbai. Was it worth it just for 2 mouthfuls of food? His tone made him sound like a heartless scumbag. What did he do to him? Yu Zian, bastard. Gu Xiaoyang, scumbag. Yu Zian, traitor. Gu Xiaoyang, bitch. Yu Zian, heartless man. Gu Xiaoyang, chinshimi. Yu Zian, zhou bapi. Gu Xiaoyang, trash. Zuyenbai. You two drama queens, can you not act so much? After the two of them bombarded the heartless scumbag in the group, they still felt depressed and decisively ran to Hu Chenhuan's side to tell on him. At the same time, they expressed that young madam's favoritism would hurt their brothers' and sisters' hearts. They strongly requested that everyone be treated equally, and that what Zuyenbai had, they should have as well. Hu Chenhuan was also a little confused when he received their complaints. He happened to see Su Yayan walking in from outside and asked blankly, "You asked Yanbai to take away all the medicinal cuisine in your shop?"
Su Yayan was taken aback.
That's right. When the inspection staff came, all the customers in the shop were dismissed. It would be a waste to keep the leftover soup stewing on the fire, so I asked him to take it back to reward the staff. Could it be that when these things were taken out, they were seen by someone and reported again? The corner of Hu Chenhuan's mouth twitched. After Yanbai took those things back, some employees took pictures and videos and posted them on the internet. The people at Quilt Banquet and Xiaoyang saw them.
And
the other employees are dissatisfied with your favoritism, so they want you to treat them equally and give them some small benefits. Su Yiyen blinked. She never expected this. She laughed and said, "Sure, but we have to wait for the test results in the next few days. I've asked everyone in the restaurant to go home and rest. When the test results are out, I'll ask them to make some things to reward these friends who worked hard." Hu Chenhuan was amused by the word friends and replied in a low voice, "Okay." Then, she seemed to have thought of something and her face darkened. "By the way, I have some clues about the things you asked me to investigate." Chapter 397. So fast. Su Yiyen's face was full of surprise. She thought it would take at least 3 or 4 days to find the mastermind behind the scenes. It's not that fast. These people have been causing trouble for you for a few days in a row. There are loopholes everywhere, so it's easy to find out. Moreover, this matter seems to be a big deal, but it's not particularly clever. Su Yan thought about it and agreed. Although the other party tried to use public opinion to tarnish the restaurant's reputation, he did not bribe the inspectors who came to inspect it. In other words, he did not have the ability to bribe them. Who is it? It's the manager of a high-end restaurant. His name is Lu Dachui. Lu Dachui? Su Yan was so surprised not only because the name was too ordinary or even perfunctory, but also because she had some impression of this person. Lu Dachui was a villain in the original work. He ran a high-end restaurant called Manlu Fragrance. This restaurant's business in City A was not bad. The reason why it provoked Wen Jingping was that several home-cooked dishes that Wen Jingping made during her live broadcast coincided with several dishes in their restaurant. Because of this, their restaurant's business was inevitably affected. Lu Dachui also believed that his chef's recipe had been leaked by someone with ulterior motives. Wen Jingping was a chess piece placed in the open by the mastermind behind the scenes who wanted to destroy their restaurant. If she was allowed to continue her live broadcast, the restaurant's business would be ruined by her sooner or later. Because of this, Lu Dachui began to secretly go against Wen Jingping. However, from this extremely perfunctory name, it could be seen that this was a villain arranged by the author to serve as a stepping stone for the protagonist in the early stages. Lu Dachui's actions quickly alarmed Hu Xiaofeng. Not only did it not affect Wen Jingping's live broadcast career, but it also suffered the consequences of its own actions. It successfully helped Wen Jingping gain a lot of sympathy from passers-by and further increased her popularity. Now, because of her, the livestream platform decisively chose her when the two of them were fighting and banned Wen Jingping. In addition, Wen Jingping's previous tricks allowed her to successfully seize some of the opportunities that originally belonged to the female lead. This little villain's target had changed from Wen Jingping to her? High-class restaurant? Does he think I'm stealing his business? I think so. Was he the one who hired the water army online? Was he the one who wrote the report?
Yes.
Do you have any evidence?
Yes.
After Hu Qinhuan finished speaking, he added, he bribed those troublemakers to deliberately cause trouble for your shop. We've already found the evidence. Su Yan turned to look at Hu Qinhuan. She felt that Hu Qinhuan was asking for praise from her tone. Thinking of this, she immediately exclaimed exaggeratedly, really? Hubby, you're amazing. How did you find out about such a secret so quickly? Hu Qinhuan's body trembled, and the redness on her face quickly spread from her neck to the back of her ears. These are just basic operations. It's not that exaggerated. Su Yan looked at Hu Qinhuan, who was slightly tilting his head and not daring to look at her. She realized in hindsight that he was shy. Su Yan could not help but laugh at this thought. However, she had to force herself not to laugh out loud. If she could not help but laugh out loud, Hu Xiaofeng would become angry from embarrassment. She would not be able to see such a cute side of him in the future. Chapter 398. Hu Qinhuan tried hard to suppress the heat in his lower body and changed the topic awkwardly. What are you going to do? The test results haven't come out yet. Even if we send these out now, some people will not believe it. They will think that we are deliberately dragging others into the water to prove our innocence. Hu Qinhuan thought for a while. Since we have to wait for the results to come out, we might as well take this time to find your uncle. My uncle? Although Lu Dachui is not smart, it took him some effort to write that letter. In the letter, he reported that your restaurant added illegal drugs to the food. Although it's not illegal, it's a fact that you added drugs to your food. It's hard to guarantee that some people won't use this as an excuse to make a fuss. Hu Qinhuan glanced at his little wife. Your Chinese herbs have all been tested by the research institute. They know better than anyone how effective they are. Su Yan suddenly understood. Their restaurant's explanation might not be enough, but if they added the research institute's proof, it could indeed shut most people's mouths. As for why they chose her uncle to help them, it was because of her grandfather after all. Old Master Cheng and his wife were the backbone of the Research Institute. Many of the people in charge of the Research Institute were his juniors. As their son, although Cheng Juanhao did not choose the same path as his parents in the end, most of the people in charge of the Research Institute were his childhood playmates. It wasn't difficult to ask them to hurry up and sort out the medicinal effects of the Chinese herbs used in a shop. They could even take this opportunity to help the public popularize these Chinese herbs that had already been included in the research topic and were working hard to cultivate in order to benefit the public in the future. It could be regarded as a mutual benefit, killing two birds with one stone. You are so thoughtful. As the second largest investor of this restaurant, my uncle is obliged to do his part now that the restaurant is in trouble. I'll call him now, Su Yan said, and was about to go to Qing Juanhao for help. Halfway through, she suddenly turned back, hugged Hu Chenhuan and kissed him. Hubby, you're the most reliable one. With you around, I'm not afraid of anything. After praising him, she chuckled and happily ran off to look for him. Hu Chenhuan was stunned for a few seconds before she subconsciously reached out to touch her lips that had just been kissed. Looking at Su Yan's back, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. The lovey-dovey couple did not notice that at the corner of the stairs not far away, Uncle Zhang, who was everywhere, was staring at the young couple. He had a gratified smile on his face, as if his own pig had finally learned how to eat cabbage. The relationship between the young master and the young madam was really good. She believed that there would be good news soon. Hopefully, little young master would be able to stand up by then. Then she would be able to bring little young master out to play. Although Uncle Zhang still had a smile on his face, his eyes couldn't help but turn red at the thought of that scene. Qing Juanhao had only invested a little in Su Yan's store and did not care much about the store. However, this matter had suddenly blown up, and he quickly caught wind of it and found out about it. When Su Yan contacted him, he was also about to contact her. After hearing the whole story, he agreed almost immediately to Su Yan's request for help. As soon as he hung up, he immediately contacted his friends in the research institute and asked them to help find the experts in charge of the Chinese herbs research and clarify the matter. Chapter 399. Many people in the research institute had heard that Su Yan had used these Chinese herbs to open a medicinal cuisine restaurant. Although many people felt that her actions were too wasteful, these things belonged to someone else after all. It was already very good that she was willing to donate them. If they continued to criticize her and control how she used them, it would be unreasonable. Moreover, the purpose of discovering the use of these herbs was to nourish the human body and allow people who had been tortured by illness to regain their health. Although Su Yan's actions were selfish, they did benefit the public. Most people agreed with her in their hearts. Therefore, when they heard the whole story from their colleagues, many people could not help but feel a little angry. Just as Hu Chenhuan said, the Chinese herbs used by Su Yan had been tested in the research institute. She could be considered half an insider. Wasn't bullying Su Yan so blatantly the same as bullying the people in the research institute? As a research department that was xenophobic and protective of its own people, the researchers in charge of this area immediately said that this was a small problem. As long as the inspection department released the specific data, they would follow up and clarify. Su Yan breathed a sigh of relief when she received a positive reply. Next, they just had to wait for the final test results of the samples that were taken back. With Qin Yang around, the few people who took the samples did not dare to fool around. The test that originally took 4 to 5 days to complete was given the results on the 3rd day. The herbs used in Su Yan's shop were all grown in her system space. The quality was naturally much better than those grown outside. Therefore, most of the medicinal cuisine in her shop had reduced the amount of medicine or diluted it. Even so, the effectiveness was still amazing. The inspection department took a lot of samples. The list was enough to fill a piece of paper. The rows of reports were dazzling. Some people who were not very patient could not take it after reading a few lines. They clamored to find a class representative. In the end, a class representative who knew about this jumped out to clear their doubts. At the beginning, he said a lot of technical terms that they could not understand. In the end, he gave an easy-to-understand summary. To put it simply, there are indeed drugs added to the food. However, these drugs are not good for the body. In fact, not only are they not harmful to people who are sick, they even have a certain therapeutic effect. With this explanation, the keyboard warriors who had been scolding Su Yan the internet celebrity food anchor, and the carnival restaurant for treating human lives like grass were all stunned. Did they scold the wrong person? Some of the people who realized that they might have been led astray shut their mouths silently. Some of the people who hadn't reacted and felt that they had been slapped in the face were angry. They really insisted on the point of adding drugs to the food and continued scolding. Not long ago, when the entire internet was blacklisted, some people wanted to fish in troubled waters to gain popularity. One after another, they stood up and said that they felt unwell after eating the food in the Eater restaurant and were hospitalized. This proved that the Eater restaurant was a black-hearted restaurant. Of course, such comments were completely discredited when the Research Institute personally came to the scene and took out the certificate of detailed explanation of all the medicinal herbs used in Suya Yen's shop. Research Institute. All the herbs in the Carnival Hall are recorded in the Research Institute. They do have some medicinal value. It can be added to food and has a therapeutic effect on patients with symptoms. Chapter 400. What the F*** CK? Was this considered official certification? The onlookers were dumbfounded. The keyboard warriors and water army who had previously criticized Suya Yen's restaurant for adding medicine to the food were all dumbfounded. Who told them that even the Research Institute was involved in such a vicious business competition? What was the background of this small medicinal cuisine restaurant, or rather, this small internet celebrity? The faces of those who had previously criticized Suya Yen were swollen, but the audience and fans in Suya Yen's live broadcast room could finally hold their heads high. Those who scolded the host before stopped playing dead. How does it feel to be slapped in the face by the officials with such foul mouths? I'm dying of laughter. Those who have watched the host's previous live broadcast know that the host doesn't make pure delicacies, but medicinal cuisine. Do you know what medicinal cuisine is? Medicinal cuisine was a combination of medicinal herbs and natural ingredients. It could satisfy one's appetite and nourish one's body. Those who didn't even understand this, and just used the fact that medicine was added to the food to criticize, I can tell that they are brainless followers or water army. I worship the above poster. I can tell that they are die-hard fans of the host's live broadcast room. I thought it was strange before. The test results haven't come out yet, so why are there so many people acting as internet law officers and directly convicting the host? Now it seems that those who scolded the host are either keyboard warriors or water army. Those who scolded the host before all owe the host an apology. Yes, apologize. I remember that someone said that if the food in the host's restaurant was fine, he would do a live broadcast while standing upside down to pee. Brothers and sisters, help me find it. There's no need to find it. I've taken a screenshot. It's this guy. He's changed his name quickly, but I've been watching him for a long time. The monk can run away from the temple. Well done. Well done. Suya Yen's supporters finally had a chance to make a comeback. Naturally, they wouldn't let go of this opportunity to settle scores. Those who had scolded more fiercely than anyone else before were now as quiet as chickens, wanting to play dead until the end. However, the person who had led the charge to scold Suya Yen and swore an oath didn't have it so easy. He was directly used as a model. This person was also someone who would not give up until all hope was gone. Seeing that his name was still being displayed even after he had changed it, he became even angrier. Although the Research Institute said that these drugs can be added to the food, they also said that it can only be used to treat the illness. Firstly, there was no doctor in this restaurant. Secondly, it didn't have a medical license. What was the point of pretending to be a fatty? Chapter 401. When the onlookers and even the audience and fans saw this, their hearts also settled down. Just as they were thinking about whether they should throw these proofs at someone's face, they saw a third post. Yen onlooker. Regarding the recent frequent incidents of people coming to our shop to cause trouble, here is a summary of the explanation. First, a week ago, a middle-aged woman came to our shop at around 4:30 in the afternoon, claiming that she had eaten a medicinal cuisine in our shop at noon and had a stomachache. She suspected that the food in our shop was not clean and demanded compensation and an apology. Friends who have watched my live stream and come to our shop should know that our shop implements a system of personal reservation in advance. After confirming that the reservation number matches the person's identity, only then can they eat. Our shop staff asked the other party to show their order information and receipt, but the other party refused to cooperate. Helpless, our shop staff could only call the police. After that, we received feedback from the police and found that we did not receive this woman at all that afternoon. Supporting this clarification was the real-time video of the woman coming to cause trouble and being taken away by the police after making a scene, as well as the proof issued by the police after that. It was reasonable and irrefutable. Even if there were still some conspiracy theorists who felt that what Suya Yen said could be faked, most people still chose to believe it. Next, 3 days later, which is about 4 days ago, a man came to our shop to make a purchase. During the purchase, he claimed that he found cockroaches in the food in our shop. After that, he retrieved the surveillance footage and found that he had brought in the cockroaches himself. The best evidence was the surveillance footage that scared the man away that day. After seeing this video, the keyboard warriors who were still ready to make a move fell silent. This was a proper pig teammate. Finally, 3 days ago, the middle-aged man who claimed that my shop's medicinal cuisine killed people. After the incident, we have investigated his identity and confirmed that he had made 2 purchases in our shop. Many keyboard warriors who had already wanted to give up saw this, and their eyes lit up. Immediately, a glimmer of hope rose in their hearts. However, the second half of Suya Yen's explanation completely annihilated their hopes. According to what he said, his mother, an old lady in her 70s, unfortunately passed away after eating the medicinal cuisine in our shop. There are 2 fatal points to this statement. First, before this, I have repeatedly emphasized that customers who come to our shop will not take orders. I will only make private medicinal cuisine for you. This medicinal cuisine is suitable for your body and can only be eaten by you. You cannot give it to others. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. This point was highlighted in my previous posts, the precautions outside of the shop and the flyers in the shop. However, this customer privately packed it and took it away for his family. This makes me very suspicious of his motive. Therefore, accompanied by the police, we went to the hospital where this gentleman's mother's mother passed away. The report clearly shows that the patient's liver has a very serious condition. A month ago, she was issued a notice of critical illness. At that time, the doctor estimated that her internal organs would gradually fail in the next half a month until she died. Many people could not help but burst into an uproar when they saw this. This was an old man who had been given a death notice a long time ago. Now that he was dead, he wanted the restaurant to take responsibility. Wasn't this the extortion? Chapter 402. There were also some more attentive people who saw the loophole in Suya Yen's words. A month ago, it was predicted that the old lady would die in half a month. Why did he wait until recently to cause trouble? Could it be that this man's reflexes were too slow, so he decided to come and extort people a week later? This doubt was quickly answered in the following explanation. Interestingly, when we were investigating the old lady's cause of death, we accidentally learned from her attending doctor that the old lady's organ failure was due to a hereditary disease in her family. This hereditary disease was naturally passed on to her son. The old lady's condition completely deteriorated a month ago, but not long after that, the old lady's condition unexpectedly improved a little. However, in the end, she still couldn't beat the disease and passed away a week ago. Suya Yen added a meaningful sentence at the end. After that, we pulled out the records of this gentleman's consumption in our store twice. The first time was 20 days ago, and the other time was half a month ago. This explanation came to an abrupt end, leaving plenty of room for imagination for the onlookers. As it turned out, after obtaining the necessary evidence, anyone could quickly become Sherlock Holmes. A month ago, the old lady who was predicted to die in half a month unexpectedly lived for an extra week. Suya Yen also said that the restaurant repeatedly emphasized that the medicinal cuisine in the restaurant could only be eaten by the customer and could not be given to others. However, the old lady's son said that the old lady had eaten the restaurant's medicinal cuisine before her death. Could it be that he already knew that he had the same hereditary disease as the old lady and knew that the old lady could eat what he could eat? If that was the case, wasn't the reason the old lady was able to live for an extra week because of the restaurant's medicinal cuisine? Thinking of this, many people couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. People said that 1,000 gold couldn't buy a minute and a second. It meant that no matter how much money you earned, whether you were a rich man or a beggar, when faced with death, even 1,000 gold couldn't buy time to let you continue to live. But now, an old man who is seriously ill and on the verge of death had survived for an extra week just because he ate a medicinal meal. Even if this medicinal cuisine couldn't make people immortal, it was enough to let those who were seriously ill and helpless see a glimmer of hope. Some people even boldly guessed that although it was the same hereditary disease, the old lady's illness was definitely more serious than the son's. The medicinal cuisine given to the son had already improved her condition. If the dosage was increased, would it be possible to cure her? This speculation was enough to shock people, but it wasn't enough to stop some people's crazy thinking. The old lady's condition improved not long after the doctor notified her of her critical condition. During this time, her son did consume the medicinal cuisine at the restaurant. It was very likely that she had eaten the medicinal cuisine this time. Then, what about the medicinal cuisine for the second consumption after half a month? Did the old lady eat the medicinal cuisine this time as well? Then why did she still die? Was it that she didn't eat it? But if she didn't eat it, where did the medicinal cuisine go? Or rather, who ate it? The answer was obvious. BBB. To enjoy to eat to the end. And then he. Chapter 403. This last piece of melon made everyone's mood fluctuate. They scratched their ears and cheeks, wishing they could go through the screen and grab Su Yiyen's shoulder and shake it. Ask her, did they guess correctly? Was the truth what they thought it was? It was too painful to be stuck halfway through the melon. F***CK, is this man still human? He's a F***king filial son. Isn't he afraid of retribution for using his own mother to test medicine? Although it's quite pitiful to have inherited a disease, there's really no way to wash away the fact that he's testing for poison. That's your own mother. If you gave her the medicinal cuisine twice and still couldn't save her, you could still say that you're filial. But if you gave her the first time and didn't give her the second time, then you're undoubtedly testing for poison. The most disgusting thing is that the restaurant saved you. Not only are you not grateful, but you're also trying to extort them. Has your conscience been fed to the dogs? Above, I seriously suspect that this man gave his mother the medicinal cuisine in the first place to test for poison. In addition, I have an extremely terrifying guess. This man might have been impatient with this old mother who needs him to support her. At first, he saw that she was about to die, so he didn't feel any pressure using her to test the poison. Later, when he found out that it was really useful, he probably regretted it. The second time he got the medicinal cuisine, he quickly ate it himself and let this big trouble fend for itself. F***CK, after hearing what the above poster said, I also feel that it's really scary. It had to be said that the netizens' brains were quite big, but it was precisely because of this that they could accidentally find a corner of the truth. This unfilial son, who was at the center of the topic and condemned by countless people, was also constantly paying attention to the direction of the wind on the internet because the latter half of the benefits promised by a certain someone had yet to be delivered. When he saw Su Yiyen's first two posts, he had a premonition that things were going to get worse. Sure enough, when he saw Su Yiyen's third post talking about him, the man almost fainted on the spot. On one hand, he was extremely terrified, and on the other, he couldn't help but complain about the hospital that had treated his mother. Didn't the internet say that the hospital had to keep the patient's condition confidential and couldn't disclose the patient's condition to others without permission? Why did this hospital disclose his and his mother's condition in such detail? Damn it! He was going to sue them. He was going to sue them until they went bankrupt. The man thought fiercely, but forgot that although the hospital had the duty to keep the patient confidential, it also had the obligation to cooperate with the police to investigate the case. You've created such a big mess, and you still expect others to keep it a secret and clean up your mess? Who gave you the confidence to do that? The man looked at the various speculations about his mother's death online and the curses and attacks directed at him as an unfilial son. He was in an extremely bad mood.
Some people were just like that.
When they did something, they felt that it was only right and proper. They didn't feel that they had done anything wrong, but in fact, they also knew that their actions would attract bad publicity. And when this infamy was confirmed, he would be unable to stop his anger and would constantly find excuses to absolve himself of the crime. That old woman was going to die anyway. What was wrong with helping her before she died? He was her biological son. Wasn't that what she should do? On the other hand, these people who were scolding him had nothing to do with him or his mother. What right did they have to scold him? They didn't need these outsiders to meddle in their family affairs. The man was full of dissatisfaction and anger, but in reality, it was just to hide the fear and uneasiness in his heart. He didn't dare to imagine what would happen if his neighbors found out about this. What would they think of him? How would he live in the future? Chapter 404. The netizens who criticized him didn't care what he thought. After that, they even found a depressing entry point from this matter. Am I the only one who focuses on the wrong thing? Am I jealous of this scumbag of a son? I've already made reservations in the streamer's restaurant several times, but they were all months away. This person not only made an appointment, but also made 2 reservations in a month. I'm so jealous. Yes, I'm jealous too. My family's internet wasn't good before, so I couldn't make a reservation for the streamer's medicinal cuisine. Now, it's actually half a year later. Whoa, I strongly request the streamer to increase the number of reservations. I strongly request the streamer to improve the limit function. For example, a single person can only make a reservation once a month. Give the masses a chance to live. This message quickly received countless likes and occupied the high ground of the comment section. This time, those who had made reservations, or even made reservations several times, couldn't take it anymore.
Why?
Whether you can make a reservation or not depends on your own ability. Isn't it natural that you're late and are at the back of the line? Why should we make way for you? Yes, you're the only one who needs the streamer's medicinal cuisine. Don't we need it? I hate this kind of weak and reasonable tone the most. If you can make a reservation, then make an appointment. If you can't make a reservation, then shut up. You even want the streamer to give you the green light. Do you think you're the streamer staff? Both sides thought that they were right, and they were on the verge of exploding into a heated argument. Fortunately, Suya didn't let them argue for too long. Soon, he brought another big melon and let them join the melon-eating team again. They forgot about their jealousy. Yen, regarding the events of the past few days, I'd like to make a summary statement. Our company has filed a lawsuit against the rumor-monger XXX for the crime of blackmail. In addition, we've also sued everyone on the list below for the crime of wantonly spreading rumors and leading public opinion to attack the reputation of our restaurant. Finally, regarding Manlu Xiang's boss, Lu Dachui, bribing our customers, maliciously spreading rumors, slandering, and even reporting our restaurant, our company has filed a lawsuit against Lu Dachui and Manlu Xiang, and the relevant departments have accepted it. Smile. JPG. This bombshell directly blew up the melon-eating audience who were watching the show with relish. They could understand the first 2 cases, but what about Manlu Xiang and Lu Dachui? Vicious competition? The streamer and Lu Dachui, or Manlu Xiang and dining hall. Then, he looked at the pile of evidence at the bottom. There was Lu Dachui bribing the internet water army, communicating with the 3 troublemakers, paying them to tarnish the reputation of the restaurant, causing Trouble to claim compensation, and screenshots of the 3 troublemakers' bank accounts. Lu Dachui even proudly showed off his intelligence to his employees, saying that he had only used a little trick to ruin the reputation of the restaurant. He even said that he would see who would dare to steal his business in the future. After listening to the audio, how could everyone not understand what had happened a few days ago? Many passers-by who had been led astray to become keyboard warriors also realized that they had been used as a tool. The anger and shame of being fooled were all directed at the black-hearted businessman, the culprit behind all of this. In an instant, the positions of Lu Dachui and his restaurant, and Suya Yen and her medicinal cuisine restaurant, suddenly reversed. They became the sacrificial lambs for a new round of online criticism. Suya Yen and her medicinal cuisine restaurant not only washed away the dirty water that had been poured on them previously, but they also gained a lot of sympathy and pity by stepping on Lu Dachui. Chapter 405. When the fire started, Lu Dachui was still feeling complacent in his own restaurant. It was as if he could already see the restaurant closing down and his restaurant returning to a bustling scene. In his opinion, this so-called online streamer was just a lucky bastard who relied on the protection of his ancestors to get into the research institute. To put it bluntly, he was just a good-for-nothing second generation who posed no threat at all. Lu Dachui was not stupid. He only dared to mess with him because he saw him as a pushover. As for how he saw him as a pushover, of course, it was because of Suya Yen's identity as an online streamer. If he really had a powerful family background, why would he go to such a small website to become an online streamer? Did rich people have nothing better to do? However, he obviously had not heard of the saying, "If you walk too much at night, you will always run into ghosts." It was not until he was taken away by the police and his restaurant was closed indefinitely that Lu Dachui realized that he had kicked an iron plate. Lu Dachui was not the only one who was really unlucky. Yu Chaoshua was a family member who did not do any proper work at home. He had an elite white-collar elder sister and a younger sister who relied on her own abilities to get into a famous university. As the only son in the family, Yu Chaoshua grew up spoiled. He was taught from a young age that everything in the family belonged to him. In the future, his sister's things would also belong to him. His parents' preference for boys also affected Yu Chaoshua imperceptibly, causing him to develop a self-righteous temperament. After graduation, he simply stayed at home and relied on his elder sister. This kind of life was originally quite happy. However, 3 years ago, his sister finally could not stand the family's blood-sucking behavior and completely cut ties with their family. Ever since his sister graduated and started working, his parents quit their jobs and focused on sucking his sister's blood. When his sister left, the whole family directly lost their financial lifeline. It was not that Yu Chaoshua's parents did not think of going to his sister's company to make trouble. If it were an ordinary person, his sister would not be able to keep her job. However, the key was that his sister's boyfriend at the time was the son of the company's CEO. Not only did they not threaten their eldest daughter, but they also brought back bad names. Yu Chaoshua's life changed drastically. In order to maintain their daily lives, his parents asked their youngest daughter to drop out of school and work. But because of the elder daughter, the younger daughter also had a rebellious heart. She was disheartened by the family and stayed at the school on a part-time basis, never returning home. Yu Chaoshua's parents had already taken out all their savings to buy a house for him in the future. Now, without his sister's income, the family's daily life had become a problem. Yu Chaoshua's girlfriend broke up with him directly after she found out. This young master had no choice but to face up to the situation at home and began to look for a job. However, he had been spoiled since he was young. He was not good at studying and did not learn any technical skills. They could only find some physical work, but they found it too tiring. Every time, they would quit after a few days. They couldn't even get their previous salary. Since his life was not going well, he could only become a keyboard warrior on the internet. He kept cursing those glamorous stars and successful people to vent his dissatisfaction and depression. Who would have thought that his actions would create a notorious nickname that everyone in the entertainment industry knew about? Chapter 406. This account was a famous **T stirrer in the industry. He was not a fan of anyone, but He could be a hater of everyone. At first, he scolded people on the internet just to vent his anger, but it didn't take long for him to realize that scolding people not only brought him satisfaction, but also attracted attention and fans. No matter how outstanding a celebrity was, there would always be a group of anti-fans. These people would come out to scold the celebrity when he was proud, and even more so when the celebrity fell, they would come out to trample on him. And the person who scolded the most would often get a certain amount of attention and be crowned. Yu Chaoshua got some benefits from this and started to attract these anti-fans. After that, his appetite grew, and he started to think about how to attract those true fans. For this reason, he started to play schizophrenia on the internet. Sometimes, he scolded people so much that he wanted to dig up the graves of the other party's ancestors. Then, he would turn around and flatter the same person. Some people concluded that he once split into more than 10 personalities on the internet at once, and comments like, "I scold myself and I beat myself" were endless. However, no one could do anything to him. They could only watch as he stirred up trouble and disgusted people. Because of his terrible reputation, there were actually many people who contacted him privately and paid him to help stir up trouble, smear the reputation of some famous artists in the industry, or, with his help, self-directed abuse of a wave of fans. Yu Chaoshua was a little arrogant to be able to scold people and get paid. Some of his actions on the internet were getting more and more out of line. Suya Yen and her medicinal cuisine restaurant were named to be smeared by his employer this time. Yu Chaoshua was cautious and conscientious. In the past few days, he had scolded Suya Yen and her medicinal cuisine restaurant. Usually, when he scolded, the person in question would lose some fans, especially this time when it was involved in a murder case. However, the audience in Suya Yen's live broadcast room was more loyal than the celebrity's fans, and their fighting power was not ordinary. Yu Chaoshua had been in the industry for a long time, but this was the first time he was pushed to the ground. In a fit of anger, he set up a flag that said, "If this restaurant is really innocent, I'll do a live broadcast of myself peeing upside down." In the end, who would have thought that this restaurant, which had been scolded all over the internet, would really rebound and turn things around in an instant? Yu Chaoshua panicked. He immediately changed his account name and pretended not to respond. He had thought that he would be able to get away with it as long as he pretended to be dead, like he had done many times before. However, he did not expect to be repeatedly whipped by the main character and his fans. As soon as Suya Yen posted the news that he wanted to pursue the matter, an electronic leaflet from the court was sent to his personal account. Only then did Yu Chaoshua panic. He paced in circles while cursing Suya Yen and the fans who spoke up for Suya Yen. She was indeed a fan who followed the lead of the show. She was so petty. He had only scolded her a few times, but she was so calculative. What a slut. However, no matter how much he cursed, he couldn't change the outcome. What he thought was fine was completely shattered the moment the police came to arrest him. After learning that his employer was suspected of malicious business competition, and because he accepted the other party's order and took the other party's money, he was also involved in the case. If the victim really wanted to pursue the matter, it was very likely that she would go to jail. Yu Chaoshua's legs suddenly turned to jelly, and his parents cried their hearts out. They had given birth to 3 children, and 2 of them had good prospects and were strangers to them. They had ruined themselves by doting on them like pearls and treasures. In the end, they paid the price for their failure in raising their children. Chapter 407. Suya Yen published the indictment on the internet. Many people were still concerned about the follow-up of this matter. After learning that Liu Dachui and the notorious blogger on the internet had been arrested, Suya Yen's viewers and fans in her live streaming room could be said to be elated. Some of the artists and fans who had been persecuted by Yu Chaoshua were overjoyed when they saw that this malignant tumor had finally been removed. They naturally had a good impression of Suya Yen, a righteous person who punished evil and eliminated evil. They spontaneously ran to her account to leave good comments. When Suya Yen logged in again, she found that her live streaming account had suddenly increased by millions of fans overnight. Some of the other live streamers who were jealous of Su Yiyan originally wanted to take advantage of Su Yiyan's loss of power to step on her, but now they did not dare to say anything, especially when they saw her statement and the subtle smiling emoji at the end. They felt like it was saying, "You want to mess with me, right? Come on, I'll kill one if one comes. If two come, I'll kill two. If a group comes, I'll kill them all." The group of people was so scared that they became like quails. Su Yiyan did not know what kind of misunderstanding and panic she had caused with the emoji she had casually sent out. After confirming that these people had been arrested, she did not care about the matter anymore. Thanks to her brother, Dongqing City had a very powerful legal department. This legal department never fought a battle that they were not confident in. Su Yiyan was very reassured by this legal department. She said that she wanted to pursue these people's mistakes. In fact, she only conveyed one request to this department, which was to make them pay the corresponding price for their actions. Su Yiyan knew that she was not a kind person. Since these people had already stepped on her nose and stepped on her face to bully her, there was no reason for her to swallow her anger. Lu Dachui, the mastermind, would definitely not be able to escape. She might not be able to do anything to the man who came to her door to extort money, but she could not let him off so easily from a legal point of view. This could be considered as killing the chicken to warn the monkey. With him as a precedent, if anyone wanted to extort money from her family in the future, they would have to think twice about whether they could survive their punishment. The same logic applied to the blogger on Weibo. Yu Chaoshua was not the only blogger that Su Yiyan was pursuing this time. These people all had a few things in common. He had a foul mouth and had a certain number of fans and influence. Furthermore, he didn't have a good reputation in the industry. It was obvious that he was someone who would do anything for money. Catching such a person and killing him as an example would not only deter those disgusting people with impure thoughts, but it would also make the other victims happy. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. It's all settled? Su Yiyan turned around and saw that Hu Chenhuan had appeared not far behind her. Her eyes lit up, and she took the initiative to step forward. "Why are you here?" "Uncle Zhang said you were here." Hu Chenhuan took the initiative to hold Su Yiyan's hand and repeated her previous question. "Have you solved everything?" "Yes." Su Yiyan nodded hurriedly. "It's all settled. This time, I have to thank the employees in the company who helped me. I'm going to postpone the opening of the restaurant for 2 days and specially arrange 2 days to make medicinal cuisine for them to thank them for their help this time." Since the test results were out and there were no major problems, this meant that Su Yiyan's medicinal cuisine restaurant could reopen at any time. Originally, this restaurant was only known by a portion of the live stream viewers and the patient's family members. Now that Lu Dachui's incident had completely increased the restaurant's popularity. Chapter 408. It should be known that as long as one was human, there would be times when one's body would be unwell. The medicinal cuisine in Su Yiyan's restaurant was known to treat illnesses and recuperate the body, even if one wasn't sick. Now that the testing department had given such eye-catching data, in addition to the personal experience of a seriously ill elderly patient, they could clearly see the magic of medicinal cuisine. How could they not be moved? Before this, because there were too many people calling the restaurant every day to make an appointment, Su Yiyan simply let the person in charge of the front desk register a public account and release 200 people at 10 o'clock every day for a fixed number of people to come and fight for. A few days ago, when the restaurant was closed, this small program was also closed. At this time, many people on the internet were clamoring for Su Yiyan to reopen the restaurant and reopen the reservation program. However, Su Yiyan didn't intend to strike while the iron was hot and immediately reopen the restaurant. Instead, she planned to take advantage of the free time in the next few days to make a special meal for the employees of her man's company to thank them for their help this time and win their hearts at the same time. Hu Chenhuan heard her words and frowned. There are many people in these companies. Won't it be too tiring to cook for so many people? Although the companies managed by Zhuo Yanbai and the others didn't have many people in each company, there were still 300 to 400 people in total. This time, when they heard that they were going to help Su Yiyan, All of them tried their best to get familiar with Suya Yen. Suya Yen said that she wanted to make medicinal cuisine for the employees who helped her, so everyone in these companies would have to line up. Suya Yen was slightly startled and smiled faintly. Why would I be tired? At most, I'll help them take a look. The details are still done by the employees in the restaurant. Hu Qinhuan's frown didn't relax because of this. Suya Yen also seemed to think of something and looked embarrassed, but your concerns aren't unreasonable. Before, I promised that the employees in the restaurant would have employee benefits. Although the companies managed by Yen Bai and the others were founded by you, they are now under my name. In that case, these companies are also my companies, and they are also my employees. The new employees in East City were all brought in by me using employee benefits. If they don't have such benefits, wouldn't they think that I'm biased? Suya Yen's words unexpectedly calmed down Hu Qinhuan's mood, making his tense expression relax a little. They won't have any objections. Even if they don't mind, I still feel bad. Including this time, this group of little cuties who hid their achievements and fame had helped her several times. His own family members wanted to eat medicinal cuisine to nourish their bodies, yet it was so difficult. How stingy of a black-hearted boss. Hu Qinhuan pondered for a moment and suggested, take some time out this time to make a medicinal diet for them. In the future, as long as they are not seriously ill, we will look at their performance. Once a week, one team per department. The best performing staff will be rewarded. Suya Yen blinked and quickly understood the meaning of Hu Qinhuan's words. She laughed and scolded. You are a profiteer. This rule was like a carrot dangling in front of a mule. If it was done well, they wouldn't have to line up to eat the medicinal cuisine that they dreamed of. In the future, wouldn't the employees in each department have to grit their teeth and strive for performance? Under such an atmosphere, why would he worry that the company couldn't make money? It was obviously an indirect move to squeeze the employees. In the end, these employees might be grateful to him, the black-hearted boss, and praise the company's benefits. Calling him a profiteer was not wrong at all. Chapter 409. Hu Qinhuan didn't care. He pulled Suya Yen to sit on his lap and smiled. I have a more unscrupulous proposal. Do you want to hear it?
What?
In a month or two, it will be the annual recruitment day. In the past, the company would add some new blood, but there weren't many who really met the requirements. This year, with the benefits I just mentioned, we might be able to recruit some unexpected talents. Hu Qinhuan wasn't exaggerating. Although there weren't many people in these companies, most of them were elites in the industry. They could quickly take over the work as soon as they entered the company and did practical work. Because of this high threshold, even if the company's benefits had always been better than other companies in the industry, they might not be able to recruit many new people in a year. Now that there were benefits that other companies couldn't have, there might be a small explosion of surprise in this year's recruitment. Suya Yen was stunned. She said with anger and amusement, Your reaction is fast. Seeing that I used this condition to attract the company's artists, you immediately used the family's company. You really are an unscrupulous businessman who has been in the business world for many years. Hu Qinhuan didn't refute. He just looked at her with a faint smile and asked, You don't like unscrupulous businessmen? Suya Yen wrapped her arms around his neck. She stared at him for a while, then suddenly leaned over and pecked his lips. Unscrupulous businessmen, unscrupulous businessmen. Although it's a little bad, as long as it's you, I like it. Suya Yen waved her hand and said excitedly, Let's do it this way. We'll bring all the fat fish to our company and let the other companies be jealous. Dun Dun, who had been eating tons of dog food at home these past few days, quietly passed by and looked at his inexplicably excited master with a confused face. His master had become less intelligent since she married the dog's father. Sure enough, it wasn't unreasonable for humans to say that love would affect one's IQ. Suya Yen, who didn't know that she was despised by the dog, finally remembered the main purpose of her coming here. Uncle Zhang has finished decorating that room these few days. Do you want to go in and take a look? Suya Yen was talking about the rehabilitation room that he had asked Uncle Zhang to decorate a few days ago. The room was located at the end of the corridor on the second floor. According to Uncle Zhang, this room was originally Hu Qinhuan's toy room when she was young. It was more spacious than the other rooms, and it was perfect for storing the rehabilitation equipment. However, many of the things in this room were personally arranged by old Madame Hua before Hu Qinhuan was born. In order to move the rehabilitation equipment in, she was afraid that she would have to empty the room first. Because of this, Su Yiyan specially ran over to take a look at the layout of the room. In the spacious house, both the walls and the floor were covered with blue and white foam boards to prevent the children from falling and injuring themselves. There were small slides, swings, and even seesaws and other amusement facilities. Just by looking at every little detail in this house, one could see how the former owner of this house looked forward to the day when he would finally meet his child. Su Yiyan learned from Uncle Zhang that ever since Hu Qinhuan's parents passed away, he had never entered this room again. After asking this question, her heart was in her throat. Fortunately, Hu Qinhuan was only silent for a few seconds before she answered in a hoarse voice, "Okay." Chapter 410. No one visited the house all year round. Even if someone was in charge of cleaning, it was inevitable that the house would be less lively. Especially at this moment, the toys that were full of memories in the house had all been moved out and replaced with cold rehabilitation equipment, which made the house look even more deserted. Su Yiyan had been paying attention to Hu Qinhuan's reaction since she entered the house. Seeing that he didn't show any signs of rejection except for being a little absent-minded, she was slightly relieved. "I've asked Uncle Zhang to move the things in this room to the next room. When you're better, we'll move them back." Hearing this, Hu Qinhuan's expression changed a little. He shook his head and said, "No need. Why not? She's gone." Hu Qinhuan's slightly lowered eyelashes trembled. "And I'm not a child anymore." "You're not, but there will be other children in our house in the future." Hu Qinhuan was stunned and realized the meaning of Su Yiyan's words. His voice became hoarse. "Other children?" Su Yiyan's small face blushed slightly. She lowered her head slightly to avoid his eyes. "There will always be." What responded to her was a long silence in the house. Just when Su Yiyan thought this was over, she suddenly heard Hu Qinhuan's low laughter. Su Yiyan's whole body trembled, and a touch of bright red floated to her cheeks. This embarrassment didn't last long. Su Yiyan took a deep breath and leaned next to Hu Qinhuan's wheelchair. She gently held his hand and brought the topic back to the beginning. "Your mother must be a very gentle and warm person." The smile in Hu Qinhuan's eyes didn't disappear. He softly corrected her. "She's our mother." "Yes, our mother." Hu Qinhuan was silent for a moment and suddenly gave a surprising answer. "You're very similar to her." Su Yiyan was shocked. "How so?" In fact, until now, she only knew that Hu Qinhuan had liked her for many years, but she didn't know when he fell in love with her or why he loved her so much. Hearing his words, Su Yiyan's heart skipped a beat, and a particularly melodramatic thought unconsciously appeared in his mind. Could it be that this guy had some kind of Oedipus complex and saw that she resembled his mother, so he transferred his affection to her and fell in love with her? "You're right. She's very gentle and warm. In my eyes, you are the same." Hu Qinhuan took Su Yiyan's hand and kissed it. "Mom is Dad's light and you are mine." When my whole world was cold without any warmth, it was like the sun had suddenly jumped out from behind the dark clouds, bringing light and warmth to him in the darkness. The only difference was that what his mother gave him was boundless tolerance and love. Like the dense moonlight, it was gentle and didn't possess any lethality. Su Yiyan, on the other hand, was like a fire. From the moment she appeared, she completely took away his attention, making him willing to burn with her, just to leave this unforgettable warmth. Su Yiyan met Hu Qinhuan's eyes, and her heart trembled. She whispered, "It's okay, it's okay." "What's okay?" Su Yiyan's expression stiffened, and her eyes flickered. "No, nothing." Su Yiyan knew that she couldn't escape, so she could only whisper, "I thought." "What did you think?" "You thought that I liked you, because you resembled my mother?" Su Yiyan. This was awkward. Chapter 411. When Hu Chenhuan saw her reaction, he already had an answer in his heart. He bent his finger and gently knocked her head. He really didn't know whether to be angry or laugh. What are you thinking about in that head of yours? Su Yiyan knew that she was in the wrong. She blushed slightly and didn't defend herself. Her eyes unconsciously drifted to the several rehabilitation facilities in the room. Since you're already here, do you want to try it? I think the things that Uncle Zhang found are pretty good. Practicing more should be good for your recovery. The expression on Hu Chenhuan's face was slightly stiff. He didn't speak for a long time. Su Yiyan stood in front of him. Her hand was raised in the air, but it wasn't held for a long time. This result surprised and worried Su Yiyan. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Or are you not ready? As soon as she finished speaking, her hand was held, and she was pulled over. Su Yiyan wasn't prepared. She was pulled over in an instant and sat on Hu Chenhuan's lap. She was facing him, and it looked like he was holding her in his arms. Chenhuan?
Give me a little more time.
His deep voice sounded beside her ear, and his breath also pounced on her ear, tickling her and bringing with it some heat. Su Yiyan's small face was slightly red. She said somewhat apologetically, "It's okay. I was too anxious."
You can take your time.
When Hu Chenhuan heard her say this, he pursed his lips. After a while, he said, "I will cooperate, but I don't want to do it in front of you." Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she understood the meaning of Hu Chenhuan's words. Hu Chenhuan's leg had been injured for a few years. If he wanted to walk like a normal person, he would have to suffer some pain. Su Yiyan wanted to spend this time with him, but Hu Chenhuan had his own considerations. As a man, he hoped that his image in Su Yiyan's heart would always be lofty, calm, and omnipotent, and not a pitiful person who would become embarrassed and miserable because of pain and discomfort. Su Yiyan was silent for a long time. In the end, he chose to respect his decision and whispered, "Okay, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to stand up and walk in front of me." 2 days later, Yu Zian, Gu Xiaoyang, and their employees finally got to eat the boss's wife's medicinal cuisine that they had been longing for. Needless to say, after eating this medicinal diet for a period of time, the complexions of the employees of these companies were ruddy, and their entire appearance had undergone a huge change. This was especially true for the programmers in the technical department. After the balding situation had significantly improved, it was as if they had ushered in a second spring in their lives. Just as everyone was marveling at the miraculous medicinal cuisine and secretly thinking about when they could ask their boss's wife to give them special treatment again, Yu Zian and the others accurately conveyed the reward rules that Hu Chenhuan had personally set to every employee. All of a sudden, the employees of these companies were in an uproar. They looked at their colleagues with burning eyes. The employees with the best performance would be able to eat the medicinal cuisine personally made by Mrs. Hu once a week. Boys and girls of the society would never admit defeat. For this reason, the work efficiency of the employees of these companies rose sharply that month, which led to the real-time income of the companies to double. When Su Yiyan received the notice of a huge sum of money again, she saw that there was an extra zero at the end of the number compared to the previous month. She couldn't help but curse again. Profiteer. After cursing, she glanced at the string of attractive numbers and thought happily, "Profiteer is good. Profiteer is wonderful. I love profiteers the most." Chapter 412. Shortly after the malicious business competition incident, the carnival opened again, which was unprecedented. Some of the patients' family members even went to the store in person, trying to find out who the mysterious store manager was by indirectly asking the staff for information. The things in the store were solved, but there were still many things waiting for Su Yiyan to deal with in Dongqing City. Luo Weibing persisted to the last day of the contract period in the original agency. Under the dissatisfied and angry eyes of his agent, he completely terminated the contract with the original agency. When I left, Chang Pu's face was very ugly, as if he was going to eat me alive. I'm worried that he will make trouble in the next few days. Luo Weibing's mood was complicated for his agent. When he was in the most difficult time, it was this man who found him, brought him into this strange circle, and gave him a meal. But it was also this man who almost pushed him to the point of no return. He owed him a favor, but he had been working for him all these years, and the benefits he brought to him were enough to repay the original kindness. It doesn't matter. It's okay for you to part on good terms. If he dares to hurt you, our Dongqing city is not easy to mess with. Su Yiyan didn't have a good impression of Luo Weibing's former agency, especially his former agent. If they really dared to mess with the people of Dongqing City, she would not be surnamed Su if she didn't bite off a piece of meat. How is Chi-Chi these days? Luo Weibing's sister's full name was Xue Siki. Su Yiyan began to treat her a week ago. Because her situation was a bit serious, it was an emergency. She needed to take some medicine for a while and then eat a medicated diet to recuperate. Simple Chinese medicine was not the same as medicated diet. It was bitter and fishy. Adults might not be willing to drink it, let alone children. But the little girl was unexpectedly well-behaved. Whether she was pricked or drank the medicine, she didn't cry once, and even comforted her brother. She was also very kind to the little sister who pricked her and made her drink the bitter medicine. She would softly call her sister Su Yiyan and say thank you to her. She was so sensible that it made people's heart ache. Who didn't like a lovely baby? Su Yiyan was no exception. They had only met a few times, but she had already fallen in love with this little sister. At the mention of his sister, Luo Weibing's face softened a lot. He smiled and said, "She's much better now. She's much more energetic these days. I don't know if she's short of breath or short of breath. When I went to see her yesterday, she looked much better and could eat by herself." That's good. However, he still has to continue taking the medicine for a while. Children are weak and need more nourishment. Luo Weibing hurriedly nodded. I will keep an eye on her. Su Yiyan knew that Luo Weibing cared about his sister more than anyone else, so he didn't say anything more and pushed a document in front of him. The company accepted a new advertisement for you. Game? Luo Weibing glanced at the first party and was surprised. Although there was no lack of artists in the industry who endorsed games, compared to this, most artists obviously preferred to endorse electronic products or luxury products like jewelry. Luo Weibing's first reaction when he saw this endorsement contract was that the big boss signed him into the company and started to do it. But the next second, Su Yiyan's words completely put his guess out of the window. Yes, game endorsement, the first spokesperson of holographic game since ancient times. It should be worthy of your current position, right? Chapter 413. Holographic game? Luo Weibing's eyes shrank slightly. He was a little confused by this news. Su Yiyan saw his reaction and thought that he did not play games and did not know much about these things. She explained, to put it simply, you only need a gaming capsule or even a gaming helmet to put you in the game scene as if you have really become a game character. In addition to not getting hurt or dying, it's like trying a second life that is completely different from reality. Luo Weibing was stunned and hurriedly said, I know what a holographic game is, I just surprised that this kind of thing that only existed in people's imagination before can become a reality. A little bit. Then this advertisement. I'm willing to take it. Su Yiyan was not surprised by this answer. That's good. By the way, you have a partner in this advertisement. Partner? Who? Xue Kaiwei. Luo Weibing was stunned and felt a little guilty after he reacted. A few minutes ago, he suspected that Xue Kaiwei signed him into the company and revealed the face of a capitalist. She would start to harm him for money. As a result, not only did Xue Kaiwei not do this, but she also gave him a good resource. She even lent her own movie queen to help him fight the first battle after transferring to the company. In the final analysis, he gauged Xue Kaiwei's heart with his own mean measure. Xue Kaiwei has been accepted. Considering that I'm not sure if you two have any unpleasant history before, I came to confirm it with you first. Can you accept to take this advertisement and partner with her? Su Yiyan didn't have the habit of forcing others. Such a good resource was given to anyone. If the two couldn't get along with each other and made a lot of things during the shooting and even after, wouldn't she, as the boss, have a hard time?
Yes.
With such a considerate boss, Luo Weebing finally settled down and nodded. I cooperated with her once before, but I didn't have much contact with her, and we didn't have any conflicts. Then it's settled, Suya Yen said and seemed to think of something. In addition, the company is going to invest in a Xianxia movie based on the background story of this holographic game. When I think about it, I'll just let you two play it. Do you have any intention? It had only been an advertisement, and the movie had already been scheduled. His new boss was really swift and decisive. If it were an ordinary person who had just changed companies, it would be the time to express their loyalty to their boss. If they were given resources right away, they would definitely be grateful, not to mention rejecting them. But Luo Weebing wasn't sure what kind of movie it was, and whether the script was good or not. He didn't dare to promise casually. Secondly, he was still worried about his sister. Suya Yen saw his hesitation and comforted him. It's okay. This is just a proposal. The specific script still needs to be perfected. It won't be too late for you to decide after you read the script. Dongqing City had several IP plans recently, and this holographic game background adaptation was just one of them. If Luo Weebing is really unwilling to take the script, it will be the same to change something else. She is a wise and democratic boss. Previously, when the medicinal cuisine house was slandered by the Internet Water Army, apart from Hu Qinhuan and a few other companies' technical staff, a large portion of the audience in her live streaming room was also contributed the most. Most of them were girls. For this reason, Suya Yen decided to do a special live broadcast to thank the audience for their enthusiastic protection. Chapter 414. The female viewers in Suya Yen's live stream went crazy with joy. Am I hallucinating because I'm too tired these days? The streamer is actually going to make a special medicinal cuisine for our female compatriots. Sob, sob, sob. I've been waiting for this day for so long. After the bald man's party, my aunt's party will finally see the light of day again. I'm so moved that I'm crying. The girls excitedly ran around to spread the news, but the male viewers were full of resentment. Don't be so sexist. This time, the streamer's shop was scolded, and we also helped the streamer fight against those trash water army. You can't ignore us just because we're few in number. That's right, the streamer shouldn't only look at those delicate girls. The toe-picking hunks also need to be pampered. I feel the malice the streamer has towards the male viewers. I beg the streamer to love our male compatriots again. Before Suya Yen started the live stream, she knew that some people might be dissatisfied after the content was released, so she didn't panic. Of course, I'm not ignoring you guys. It's just that there are more female compatriots, so I'll take care of them first. When there's a chance next time, I'll make another batch of medicinal cuisine related to male compatriots. After Suya Yen said that, the male viewers who were screaming miserably on the screen finally quieted down and focused on watching the live stream. The female viewers were more concerned about whether Suya Yen's live stream today would involve menstrual pain. After all, many of the female viewers in Suya Yen's live stream were attracted by the two female bloggers in the first place. There are actually many reasons for menstrual pain. I've already made a few medicinal cuisines that have a certain effect on menstrual pain. These medicinal cuisines are sold in physical stores now. Today, I'll make a few different ones. In addition, I'll make a few medicinal cuisines that nourish blood and nourish skin, help with weight loss and sleep, slimming face and removing acne, and breast enlargement and so on. Suya Yen's face was slightly red, and she paused before continuing. Friends who are interested can take a look. After a while, I'll draw a prize according to the old rules. Those who don't draw a prize can also go to the physical store to eat. As soon as Suya Yen said that, the comments in the live stream suddenly went blank for a few seconds, and then a blowout of comments erupted. F***CK. The host's medicinal cuisine can not only cure menstrual cramps but also help with weight loss? This is too exaggerated. Oh my god, is there finally hope for a fatty like me? who can become as fat as a balloon just by drinking water and nutrient solutions.
Huh?
I suspect that the host is revealing my private life. The secret of my airport can't be hidden anymore? There's actually a medicinal cuisine that can slimmer one's face. Pancake Face really can't afford to be hurt. He's not fat anywhere else, but when the weather turns cold, he'll have a fat face if he drinks more nutrient fluids. As a pimple sufferer who gets pimple whenever the weather is dry or if he stays up late, he really needs this. The suffering insomnia party is asking for help. Every night, they would be especially energetic and would be forced to stay up until the latter half of the night. Their dark circles and eye bags would almost reach their chins, and their skin would become yellow and rough. If this goes on, I feel like I might die at any time. What Su Yan had just said was extremely accurate, and it poked at the endless troubles of these young people. Seeing so many comments, Su Yan knew that she had chosen the right thing to do today. She took a deep breath and smiled faintly. Whether it's really effective or not, you'll only know after you try it. All right, let's not talk nonsense. Let's start today's live stream. Chapter 415. The discussion on the screen continued to pass by, but Su Yan had already focused on the medicinal cuisine she was going to make today. Today, I'll make a few soups, a few porridge, a few stir-fried dishes, and desserts and juice. As soon as Su Yan's voice fell, many viewers in the live broadcast room couldn't help but swallow their saliva, as if they could already imagine how delicious these things would be when they were made. The soup will take a long time. Let's make the soup first. The first dish Su Yan made was fragrant tofu loach soup. Tofu could not only detoxify, but also moisturize the skin. It was good for the skin for girls to eat more. Loach was not only antibacterial and anti-inflammatory, but also could help to remove acne marks. With some fragrant tofu, red dates, and broth, it could not only nourish the liver and improve qi, but also beautify the skin. The second soup was wolfberry leaf pig liver soup. Su Yan had previously made wolfberry leaf porridge with wolfberry leaf, and pig liver. Wolfberry leaf was not used in this soup, but astragalus and radix polygonatum. These two herbs nourished the liver. Not only could it improve the eyesight, but it also had a significant effect on dark circles, bags, and other problems. The last dish, tremella, papaya, and crucian carp soup, was a little more troublesome. First, the fish needed to be fried, then the tremella, papaya, and some red dates were added into the pot to stew. Tremella was a particularly nourishing Chinese herb for girls. Eating more of it could not only nourish the lungs, but also improve the symptoms of yellow complexion caused by the deficiency of qi and blood. Papaya had a certain breast enlargement effect. Stewing it with crucian carp and tremella had a certain therapeutic effect on girls with breast dysplasia. Almost half an hour had passed by the time Su Yan finished cooking these soups. When she looked up, she saw that the screen was full of requests for the medicinal cuisine to lose weight. Obviously, someone had gone out to publicize it and called those fat people who were suffering from obesity. Su Yan really didn't expect there to be so many fat people in this era, where people basically ate nutrient solutions and only occasionally had the opportunity to go to high-end restaurants to have a sumptuous meal. It was also because most of the people around her had good figures. The only chubby one seemed to be her family's dundun. This little fatty had been eating well for the past few months, so he had gained a lot of weight. Now he was already a solid ball. Occasionally, she would feel her hands getting sore from carrying him for too long. It was not a good idea to continue being so fat. It seemed that he had to control its diet. Dundun, who was inexplicably implicated and about to face a reduced meal. Sure enough, now that he had a little fairy, he didn't want this big treasure anymore. Even his rations had to be deducted. It was really too difficult for him. The soup is ready. Since everyone is curious about the diet, let's make a few diet dishes. The first one was black rice, red bean, and coconut porridge. Red beans had the effect of slimming. Eating red beans could not only replenish blood, but also slimmer face and slimmer legs. Moreover, red bean porridge can be eaten as a staple food. It's easy to fill your stomach, and under the premise of slimming down, you won't go hungry. To lose weight, one did not have to diet like those celebrities who needed to lose weight in a short period of time. Eating some food that could fill one's stomach but was not high in calories could also play a certain role. However, the effect was often not immediate and needed to be sustained for a period of time. This meant that the person needed a certain amount of endurance and self-control to not eat anything else while eating these foods. Chapter 416. Black rice has the effect of hair growth and is also one of the miscellaneous grains. It is not easy to get fat after eating it. It can also treat hair problems while losing weight. It's killing two birds with one stone. After cooking the two together, some coconut juice and shredded orange peel were added. The porridge's fragrance instantly became rich. The second diet meal was fresh bamboo shoots and konjac noodles. Konjac had a very significant filling effect like miscellaneous grains. Corn bamboo shoots and water bamboo shoots were relatively low in calories. Together with the medicinal juice made from rhubarb and licorice, it could not only reduce weight, but also improve immunity. Finally, there was a celery vegetable juice. It was juice made from celery, tomatoes, and grapefruit, with some fructose or honey added. When this vegetable juice was released, there were different voices. People who liked it very much, but there were also many people who did not like it. This vegetable juice is a bit unpalatable. It tastes a bit like nutrient solution. It's not the flavor I like. I think it's not bad. It's refreshing. If it was chilled in summer, I feel like I can drink a big cup in one go. Su Yan did not care too much about this. There were some differences in taste, especially when celery was added to the juice. Some people did not like this taste very much. After making some soup and porridge, Su Yan began to heat up the wok to cook. The first dish was braised pork trotters. Pork trotters were rich in collagen. Eating more of it could make the skin smooth and white. It could also help to remove the acne marks left behind by acne. Before this, Su Yan had simply processed the pork trotters. He blanched them once and marinated them with soy sauce and cooking wine for half an hour. It was just ready to be put into the wok. The previous few soups and porridge were slow stews. They had to be simmered slowly to bring out the fragrance of the food. This dish was different. As soon as it was put into the wok, a fragrant smell floated out. After seasonings such as star anise and cinnamon were added, it was as fragrant as the previous braising ingredients. It caused a heated discussion as soon as it was taken out of the wok. I have seen pork trotters in high-class restaurants before. They are usually used to stew soup. My mother ordered it once. I took a bite out of curiosity and felt that the taste was a bit strong. I always felt that it was not clean and did not particularly like it. But the host's pork trotters are really amazing. The unpleasant smell is not mentioned. It's especially chewy and flavorful. I feel like I can eat a lot of white rice with this. This pork trotters taste a bit similar to the braised food the host made before, but it's especially chewy. Especially the juice in it. It's mixed with noodles and rice. Hey. Steaming. D. When Su Yan made the pumpkin cup, he did not peel off the outer skin. Instead, he engraved a slightly complicated and beautiful pattern. It made the originally ordinary pumpkin cup inexplicably eye-catching. The steamed pumpkin was soft and tender. Paired with the refreshing lily, it was really good-looking and delicious. It captured the hearts of many girls in an instant. Chapter 417. Compared to the steamed pumpkin lily, the papaya with rock sugar attracted less attention. Su Yan smiled and touched her nose. She was a little embarrassed as she said, Papaya has the effect of moisturizing the lungs, relieving coughing and digestion. It can also enrich the breasts. Girls who have problems in this area can try to make some at home. As you just saw, it's not difficult to make. As soon as Su Yan said this, the messages on the screen suddenly went blank for a few seconds. Then, a few sparse messages flashed past. From the words, one could feel their cautiousness. I feel like I shouldn't talk at this time. If I do, I'll be exposed. Even if you don't say it, you're still a good friend. I'm not talking anymore. I'm going to look for papaya and rock sugar. Although I don't like papaya very much, but everyone had a tacit understanding of what was omitted after the ellipsis. No one pointed it out. Su Yan coughed softly and drew everyone's attention back to her. Okay, let's do the lucky draw next. We'll draw one lucky audience member for each item. The lucky draw in the live broadcast room had always been very fast. In less than 5 minutes, the winners jumped out one by one. Su Yan glanced at it and suddenly realized that something was wrong. Ever since the last lucky draw, she accidentally discovered that some male audience members deliberately registered female accounts to compete for the lucky draw slots. After taking advantage of this loophole, Hua Qinhuan asked Yuzian to make some small changes to the user accounts. Now, whether the audience members in the live broadcast room left a message or were selected from the lucky draw, there would be a small sign in front of the name that indicated the user's gender. At a glance, people could tell whether the user was male or female. Moreover, the gender on the website account had to be the same as the gender on the registration certificate. Otherwise, it wouldn't be approved. At this time, Su Yan saw an account with a male name in the group of female accounts. She blinked in surprise. What's going on? Ming Ming Ruin? This audience member with the ID Ming Ming Ruin, did you click on it by mistake? If it were other medicinal cuisines for sleeping, weight loss, and black hair, it would be fine. However, this audience member just happened to get rock sugar papaya. Could it be that he also needed? Su Yan had a flash of inspiration in his mind. He suddenly grasped a corner of the truth. He had to have a big chest. The other spectators also noticed this and began to manually at this male compatriot who had mistakenly entered the country of women to quickly hand over the medicinal cuisine. Hey, there's a man here. Sisters, quickly catch him and make him hand over the food. Ming Ming Ruin, brother, did you accidentally click on the wrong button? Didn't the streamer say she was going to cook for her female compatriots? Ming Ming Ruin, taking a closer look, this person seems to have drawn. Cough cough, you really don't need this. It would be a waste to take it. Hurry up and hand it over. Can I buy it with 5,000 coins? Ming Ming Ruin, 5,500, come over here and take a look at me. Ming Ming Ruin, 6,000 no more. Ming Ming Ruin, 6,600. That's an auspicious number. 7,000. A good condemnation suddenly turned into a live auction. At first, this person pretended to be dead and didn't want to respond. Later, perhaps because too many people at him, he finally popped up. Ming Ming Ruin, not selling. We don't lack money at home.
Thank you. The food is for my wife. I didn't order it by mistake.
The audience. The single dog felt a critical hit from the couple. Su Yan. Okay. Chapter 418. While Su Yan was busy giving gifts to the lucky viewers, Hua Qinhuan was also busy questioning Yuzian. Why did Yan Yan get a male account in the lucky draw in her live stream? Yuzian looked confused and said carefully, Young master, you forgot. After you and young madam got married, you removed the restriction of only drawing male accounts in young madam's live broadcast room. Hua Qinhuan. He really forgot. After the two of them got married, Su Yan did not know if it was intentional or not, but there was one time when she suddenly mentioned during dinner that the audience in her live stream lucky draw seemed to be mostly women, and there were not many men. There were a few episodes where she talked about baldness and certain men's hidden ailments. Looking at the comments, those male viewers seemed to be in urgent need of it, but it seemed like all the female accounts were drawn. It was also possible that some men had strong self-esteem and were too embarrassed to fight for their ailments. But those people who were begging on the screen didn't even participate in the lucky draw. Something was really wrong. When Hua Chenhuan heard Su Yiyen's words, his heart suddenly skipped a beat, and he felt inexplicably guilty. In order to protect his little secret, Hua Chenhuan generously removed the unspoken rule of only drawing female accounts in the live broadcast room. Since they were married, he could eat 3 meals cooked by his wife every day, so he wouldn't lower himself to the level of those lucky viewers who fought for it. Now that he saw Su Yiyen's live broadcast room draw a male account again, Hua Chenhuan realized that he wasn't as generous as he thought. If it was only the ones in the shop that Su Yiyen instructed and made by someone else, it would be fine. But she made it herself, and he was already a little unhappy that she gave it to the female viewers, let alone these stinky men who didn't know the details.
Change it back.
What? Change the previous setting back. Yu Xian's expression stiffened and he probed, You mean, change the setting of only drawing male accounts in young madam's live broadcast room? You have a problem with that?
No.
This was a familiar question, a familiar atmosphere. How could he dare to say no? After getting a satisfactory answer, Hua Chenhuan hung up the phone directly. As Yu Xian listened to the busy tone on the other end of the line, he really couldn't understand why his young master had suddenly made such a fuss. He could only sigh silently in his heart. Married men were really fickle. Su Yiyen made so many nourishing dishes at once. She definitely couldn't finish them all by herself. She packed a portion for Chung Xiuqin and gave the rest to the maids in the house who needed it. She only kept a few dishes that suited her taste. When Hua Chenhuan came down, she immediately saw the braised pork trotters, black rice, red bean and coconut congee, and papaya with rock sugar. As soon as Su Yiyen looked up, she saw Hua Chenhuan staring at her with a slightly indescribable and curious gaze. She couldn't help but have a few question marks in her mind. Then, she saw Hua Chenhuan's gaze move down stiffly, drifting to her. A deathly silence and awkwardness spread between the two of them. In the end, the first to admit defeat was actually Hua Chenhuan. He quickly averted his gaze, picked up the bowl, and looked at the dishes on the table as if nothing had happened. However, his burning airs betrayed his true thoughts at that moment. Su Yiyen. What was going on? Shouldn't she be the one being shy at a time like this? Why are you being shy? Chapter 419. Su Yiyen's eyes turned slightly. She held her chin and said with a faint smile, I just saw a post on the internet. It's quite interesting. Hua Chenhuan's hand suddenly paused. What post? A discussion post about whether boys like girls with big breasts or girls with small breasts. Hua Chenhuan's spoon hit the bowl with a clang. The bright red that stopped at the tip of her ears suddenly spread to her cheeks and neck. Don't look at these useless posts. Su Yiyen suppressed her laughter and said smoothly, It's indeed useless, but I'm very curious. What? Do you like girls with big breasts or girls with small breasts? Hua Chenhuan's mind went blank. When she looked up, she met Su Yiyen's teasing gaze. She knew that someone was deliberately teasing her. While it was funny, she also felt a little embarrassed. You're very good like this. Su Yiyen was slightly stunned. Then, her eyes curved slightly. She dragged her voice and said, Oh, I understand. Hua Chenhuan. Understood? Understood what? Just by listening to her tone, Hua Chenhuan was sure that what she said was definitely not what he thought. However, no matter how curious she was, Hua Chenhuan did not dare to ask in detail. She was afraid that Su Yiyen would say something shocking again, and she would not be able to handle it. Uncle Zhang, who was standing not far away, listened to the young couple's conversation and could not help but smile kindly. Young couples should often tease each other. Only by bickering could their relationship warm up and not separate. As an old man, he found it interesting to see such a young couple. The two of them had dinner peacefully. Hua Chenhuan suddenly asked, Do you have anything to do tomorrow night? Nothing. Su Yiyen basically went home after work. What's wrong? Then accompany me out tomorrow night. Out? To do what? Su Yiyen was a little surprised. Hua Chenhuan actually took the initiative to say that she wanted to go out. Could it be that she wanted to go on a date with her? To attend a birthday banquet. Su Yan was stunned. Birthday banquet? Whose birthday banquet? It's the birthday banquet of the old master of the Lan family. Hua Chenhuan was afraid that Su Yan did not understand, and then explained, Mr. Lan and my father have been friends for many years. When Uncle Zhang heard this, he also chimed in, Master and the Lan family's master were high school friends. When Master and Madam were alive, the relationship between the two families was very good. After the two of them passed away, only the Lan family took good care of the young master. Tomorrow is old Master Lan's 70th birthday. It's reasonable for young master and young madam to congratulate him. When he said that, Su Yan understood. Hua Chenhuan's parents had handed over the Hua Corporation to Hua Qihan before they died. Hua Chenhuan's legs were like that, so she had obviously been abandoned. Businessmen valued profits. Some of the so-called partners who had gathered because of profits naturally knew who to please and who to belittle at this time. Who didn't know how to add flowers to a brocade? People's hearts could only be seen when charcoal was in snowy weather. This Lan family was indeed very righteous to help Hua Chenhuan under such circumstances and take care of this orphan of an old friend. No wonder Hua Chenhuan, who didn't like to go out, wanted to attend this old man's birthday banquet in person. Su Yan understood and felt a little distressed at the same time. Every time she thought about how Hua Chenhuan had endured in the past few years, she couldn't help but feel sad and regretful that she hadn't met him earlier. Chapter 420. If that's the case, then we should go over to celebrate his birthday. Su Yan seemed to have thought of something and said anxiously, Then the gift. Uncle Zhang smiled and said, Young madam, you don't have to worry about that. Young master has already prepared the gift. That's good. Su Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Then I'll come back early tomorrow and accompany you to celebrate Master Lan's birthday. Hua Chenhuan looked at the two of them holding hands and smiled slightly. She replied in a low voice, Okay. The next afternoon, Su Yan got off work an hour early and went home to accompany Hua Chenhuan to pick out clothes for the evening. In the end, she chose a sapphire blue suit for him and a dress of the same color for herself. They looked like a couple's outfits. Uncle Zhang couldn't help nodding when he saw what Hua Chenhuan was wearing. His young master was only 26 years old this year and was still young. Wearing bright colors would make him look more energetic. Wearing those dark formal suits all day long made him look like an old man. It was a waste of his young master's face, which had once attracted countless girls. The young couple wore the couple's outfits and happily went to the Lan family's small villa in the suburbs. When they arrived, there were already many people inside. As soon as Su Yan pushed Hua Chenhuan through the door, many people stopped talking and turned to look at them. Su Yan frowned slightly. He was worried that Hua Chenhuan wouldn't be used to these people's explicit stares. Then he heard Hua Chenhuan say gently, Uncle Lan and Aunt Yi are over there. Let's go over and say hello to them first. Su Yan saw that he didn't show any discomfort with the stares and was slightly relieved. He pushed him in the direction he pointed. Master Lan was 70 years old this year. Although his hair was a little white, he was still in good spirits and his body was quite strong. When he saw Hua Chenhuan coming over, his eyes lit up and he said with a smile, Young Master Hua is here. Master Lan was from the same generation as Hua Chenhuan's father, so it was reasonable for him to call him Young Master. However, it was obvious that he was close and fond of Hua Chenhuan. What was more, Hua Chenhuan was also willing to respond to him. Uncle Lan's birthday today. As a junior, it would be rude if I didn't come to say some auspicious words to you. The blue old man smiled, but there seemed to be tears in his eyes. If I had known that I would be able to call you out on my birthday, I would have done it a few years earlier. Everyone present understood that he was just teasing. If it had been Hua Chenhuan from a few years ago, even if it was his birthday, Hua Chenhuan might not have come in person even though he would have sent gifts, the real reason he changed. Madame Lan patted her husband's hand and looked at Su Yan. She said with a smile, Is this Miss Su? Su Yan was suddenly called. He hurried to Hu Chenhuan's side and politely said, "Hello, madam. My husband and Chenhuan's father were good friends. If you don't mind, you can call me Auntie like Chenhuan." Hu Chenhuan was his father's son when he was old. He was basically a generation older than his peers. If Su Yan called her Auntie like other people, he would be a generation younger. Following her advice, he called out, "Auntie." Old Madame Lan happily agreed. "When you two got married, us two old fellows couldn't personally go to see you. It's a pity. However, we both believe in Chenhuan's judgment. We know you must be a good child." Chapter 421. Su Yan and Hu Chenhuan's wedding was held on a private island. The two elders were too old to take a boat, so they only asked their son and daughter-in-law to go. When they came back, they only said that Hu Chenhuan was very happy. The way he looked at the bride was very gentle. He was like a beast that had lost control and put away his claws and fangs. He became harmless and gentle. When the two elders first heard the rumors outside, they were a little worried about the marriage between the two of them. But when they heard their son and daughter-in-law say so, they were relieved. Although Hu Chenhuan was not their child, they had watched him grow up after all. If he didn't really like Miss Su, even if they were forced to be together, he would not be kind to her. Su Yan heard her implicit praise and blushed. She was a little embarrassed. Hu Chenhuan took the initiative to hold her hand. His eyes were full of smiles. Obviously, he agreed with old Madame Lan's words. Old Master Lan saw their small movements and nodded with a smile. "I'm relieved to see you like this. Old Hua and sister-in-law will definitely be happy for you when they see you like this." As soon as old Master Lan said this, the atmosphere between them suddenly became cold. Old Madame Lan was the first to react. She raised her hand and hit him on the back of his head. "Why are you talking about this?" Su Yan. Did they start to hit him because of a disagreement? Hu Chenhuan and the younger generation of the Lan family beside the two elders seemed to be used to this. They looked as if they were saying, "Oh, Grandpa, Dad has been hit again." Old Master Lan touched the back of his head and said timidly, "Save me some face in front of the child." Old Madame Lan snorted. "Is face for others to save for you? You are so disrespectful in front of the child. You deserve to lose face," she said and pulled Old Master Lan's ear. Old Master Lan was scared and hid. Several of the younger generation of the Lan family saw that their grandfather was in trouble and hurried to persuade him. Su Yan and Hu Chenhuan were squeezed out. Su Yan blinked her eyes in confusion. Hu Chenhuan couldn't help but laugh. Uncle Lan was famous for being a henpecked husband when he was young. No matter if it was at home or outside, he was always obedient to Aunt Yi. But no matter how noisy they are truly in love with each other. It has been like a day for decades. After the initial surprise, Su Yan also saw something from the old man's quarrel. Generally speaking, it was impossible for a man to lose to a woman. Old Madame Lan doesn't look like a particularly good person, but old Master Lan can do it without fighting back, scolding without talking back. In the end, it's because of love. Moreover, if you look carefully, you will find that old Madame Lan hit him, but she never hit him too hard. Although old Master Lan wailed, there was no dissatisfaction or anger in his eyes. There was only a smile and indulgence. Jealous. Su Yan was shocked and turned to look at Hu Chenhuan by reflex. As soon as the servant met his smiling eyes, she snorted and threatened, "If you make me angry in the future, I will hit you like she did." "Okay, I promise I won't fight back." Su Yan frowned and said with dissatisfaction, "Shouldn't you say you won't make me angry at this time?" Hu Chenhuan. What a mistake. "Yes, I promise I won't make you angry in the future." That's more like it. Several of the younger generation of the Lan family who wanted to step forward to stop the fight but happened to hear the conversation between the two. "This is too much. We just ate the old man's dog food, and now we have to eat yours. Do single dogs have no human rights?" Chapter 422. After the commotion caused by old Madame Lawn, the atmosphere between them returned to its original harmony. When the people on the other side saw this scene, they were not in a good mood like Su Yen and the others. What's wrong with old Master Lawn? We came to celebrate his birthday out of kindness, but he's so nice. He ignores us, but he's very enthusiastic about Hu Qinhuan and that little b*** Tusich. Hu Qihan listened to his wife's complaints, and his face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Qinhuan is a family who, after all. Father was so close to old Master Lawn when he was alive, and Qinhuan is like that now. It's inevitable that he'll care more about him. Why are you shouting so loudly? If others hear you, they'll think that we can't tolerate him. Mrs. Hu choked, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. He's a family Hua, but aren't you? Touch your conscience and tell me, was their attitude towards us the same as their attitude towards those two people? Hu Qihan's face became uglier after being choked by his wife. Mrs. Hu was not in the mood to care about his feelings. When they came to the Lan family before, they had never met Hu Qinhuan. Naturally, they didn't know that the Lan family's attitude toward them was so different from when they faced Hu Qinhuan. Now that they knew, they definitely felt uncomfortable. In addition, too many things had happened at home in the past month or two. Their moods were at a critical point, and they could explode completely. Mrs. Hu looked at the various people coming and going at the banquet and felt that everyone was looking at them strangely. She tugged at Hu Qihan's sleeve and said suspiciously, "Do you think they already know that Xiaofeng has been kicked out of the Hu family? So they're hitting us when we're down and deliberately ignoring us? Have these guys forgotten how they licked their faces and begged you to cooperate with them?" Enough. Hu Qihan finally couldn't help but shout. During this time, he was most annoyed that Hu Xiaofeng had been kicked out of his company. He was the person in charge and the decision-maker of the company, but his only son was targeted by the board of directors and directly kicked out of his own company. This was a great humiliation to him. Now, who didn't say that he didn't teach his son well? It was fine that his son's private life was messy, but he didn't have any ability. He had been in the company for less than half a year and was dissuaded by his own board of directors. What a joke. When Hu Qihan now thought about it, he wished that he didn't have such a son, and he was also dissatisfied with his wife. If she hadn't spoiled him since he was a child, would his son? Will you become mute if you don't speak? Hu Qihan's SSSS. Hu Qihan's SSS. Hu Qihan glared at her fiercely. He suppressed his anger and asked, "Where's Xiaofeng? And where did he?" "I just said that I wasn't feeling well, so I went out to get some fresh air." "Get some fresh air?" Hu Qihan's face darkened. "Why are you running around in someone else's house? Don't tell me he went to look for that woman again?" Mrs. Hu's expression changed when she heard this.
No.
No way. Who knows? It's not the first time he's messed up a good thing. Hurry up and go find him. If you find him in contact with that woman again, tell him to get out of my sight. I don't have a son like him. Chapter 423. Mrs. Hu opened her mouth, but did not say anything in the end. If it had been someone else, she might have been able to defend Hu Xiaofeng. But now that that woman was involved, not to mention Hu Qihan, even his mother suspected that the woman had put a curse on her son. He had suffered so many losses at her hands. She and her husband had also threatened him that if he had any contact with that woman again, they would cut ties with him. But he still did as he pleased. Had they really spoiled him so much over the years that he was fearless? Or was he sure that he was their only son and could not do anything to him? Mrs. Hu was full of anger, but she could not really admit that her son was stupid. So, she put all her resentment on Wen Jingping. In the original novel, Mrs. Hu did not have a good impression of Wen Jingping, the heroine from a poor family. She felt that she was not worthy of her son. Now, Wen Jingping had dragged her down several times. Even her son's position as the heir had been removed. Mrs. Hu increasingly felt that this woman was a jinx. She was afraid that she would never accept such a daughter-in-law in the future. Family Hu and Mrs. Hu were losing their minds. They were almost angered to death. On the other hand, Hu Chenhuan and Hu Xiaofeng were enjoying the highest courtesy of the Lan family. Unfortunately, although Old Master Lan and Old Madam Lan liked Hu Chenhuan, they were old and did not have much energy. After a few more words with the two of them, she asked her son and daughter-in-law to help take care of them. When the men gathered together, most of the topics they could find to talk about were related to business. Mrs. Lan was worried that Su Yiyen would be bored listening to them, so she asked her daughter-in-law to take Su Yiyen to the side to eat something. Today, the Lan family's private chef was in charge of the food and beverage at the banquet. This chef was somewhat famous outside. Some of the people at the banquet had come because of his reputation. Therefore, it was not rude for the two of them to hide and eat at the side. Su Yiyen tried some of their snacks. He had to admit that this chef was quite capable. The food he made was much better than the chefs outside. Is it to your taste? Lan Furen's eldest daughter-in-law, Yan Xiaoran, saw that Su Yiyen had only taken a bite of the pastry before stopping and asked with a faint smile. Su Yiyen seemed to have woken up from a dream. It's quite delicious. Grandma's appetite isn't that good when the weather gets hot. If the food at home isn't good, she won't be able to eat. Su Yiyen understood instantly. No wonder the Lan family chef was so good at cooking. If it wasn't so good, he might not have been able to enter their house. These men never stop talking once they start talking about serious matters. We can't even get a word in if we stay by their side. Why don't we come over and eat something first? You and Chenhuan didn't eat anything before coming here, did you? I came here in a hurry, so I ate some snacks that I made this morning. I'm not particularly hungry. You know how to make pastries too? Yan Xiaoran was a little surprised. I've learned a thing or two from my family chef, but the taste is not as good as yours. Yan Xiaoran was quite confident in her family chef's craftsmanship, but she was surprised. Your family chef doesn't hide anything. Su Yiyen smiled and did not say anything. Just at this moment, a slightly familiar figure walked in from outside, attracting Yan Xiaoran's attention. Little Yi, come here. Yan Xiaoran waved at the young man not far away and called him over. Su Yiyen followed the sound and saw the person approaching. His eyes widened slightly, and he was surprised. It's him. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.